Hello, Afrinection family. Welcome back to another installment in our series where we interview different entrepreneurs in our network who are doing innovative things that we want you to find out about and people who we want you to connect with. Tonight we are going to be interviewing Moses West. I'm very excited for this interview, and I hope that everyone who is watching this can contribute however is possible to his initiative. Okay, I'm going to bring up Moses right now.
Wow. Did we make
Hi.
it?
Yes, we got it. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being patient, everybody who is joining. Wow, you have a lot of fans.
Oh, thanks.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. Yourself?
I'm doing well as well. The year is treating me well. I'm really excited to talk about this project that you have going on, and I think who are joining us are as well. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a quick bio for anyone who's unfamiliar. Army Ranger Moses West is the CEO of AWG Contracting. Moses West combines a very unique background as a prior member of the United States Armed Forces, where he is an esteemed member of the 75th Ranger Regiment, the Second Armored Division, the Second Infantry Division, the Seventh Cavalry Regiment, and the 101st Airborne Division. The experiences of the military deployment provided Mr. West with a unique appreciation for the value of water, coupled with his advanced technical skills, which propelled him into his lifelong mission of creating the most advanced, leading-edge technology to produce water from air. His objective is to end drought and save lives. Welcome, Mr. West.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Just to get started, can you please tell us a little bit about your education background?
Oh, well, I was born in the United States. Now, I'll go into a little bit more detail for y'all. I was born in the United States, but I actually started school in Germany. So I was raised in Europe for the first 7 years of my life. And then I moved to Texas in about 1968. I went to high school on a military base, private school, Robert G. Cole High School. And then when I graduated, I went to Trinity University, Incarnate Word College. And when I graduated, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. And as an infantry officer, that's when I went to Ranger School. And I was a member of the 75th Ranger Regiment, went to Airborne and Air Assault and did all those high-speed things. And then knowing that my body wouldn't handle that for so many years, you can do that as a young guy. And so in the military at 25, you're actually getting old. It's pretty tough. And so that's when I went to flight school and became a pilot. And then my first assignment out of flight school, it was actually my first combat assignment. I was assigned to the Bravo Troop 4th of the 7th Cavalry, and I was stationed up on the DMZ. You've heard of that, correct?
No.
The DMZ? The demilitarized zone between North and South Korea is one of the hottest borders in the world. It's one of the most dangerous military places in the world to be stationed. And I went there fresh out of flight school. So you patrol the DMZ. The Korean War is on a ceasefire. And so there's a no man's land, and we patrol that on both sides. So the border's still hot. So the North Koreans are ticked off, the South Koreans are ticked off. And as NATO troops, we stay there to make sure that neither one of them start fighting again, but they both shoot at us. So that was the first assignment out of flight school.
Wow. So you're lucky to be here.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of guys that aren't here right now, so I am very fortunate. But that's what drove me into not only the love of flying and not being shot at. So that's what drove me into being a test pilot. So I said, hey, I always wanted to fly Chinooks, and I always wanted to be a test pilot. So that's how I became one. And so my main education, the technical expertise that I have to do this is because I'm advanced aviation skills and maintenance and technology, engines, avionics, hydraulics, you name it. And that's how I got to the place where I am now. And then I got my master's degree when I was in the military. I went to the War College up at Leavenworth, Kansas, quantitative analysis. And then I was hurt in the Gulf War, flying the Chinooks, thinking I was getting away from combat, and got right in the middle of it. And so then,
What did you injure?
what's that?
What did you injure?
It was just body damage from years of military work, and then some aircraft incidences that we had, and then it took a while to recover, and then here I am today.
Wow. So in total, how long did you spend in the military?
My retirement certificate says I was in 16 years, but 6 of those years was them trying to get me to come back in while I was at home. They didn't want to waste that money, so I was on something called a temporary disabled retired list for several years, and then I think a little bit of a funny story. When it was time to come back in, I was supposed to show up in my Class A uniforms, all shined up and everything. I showed up in flip-flop shorts and a full beard. So he looked at me and he's kind of said, "You don't want to come back in, do you?" And I said, "You think?"
So it's not that you didn't get the memo, but you were in a way protesting.
It's like 6 years is a long time. And I was like, phew.
Yeah.
So, but it was good to know that they wanted me to come back in, but I didn't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fully retired, and
Okay.
so I picked this up as it's something I was passionate about, and so here we are.
How long
Making
after you retired did you become interested in water?
Oh geez, it was a long time. I was after I left the military, I went to Europe and I lived there for several years, and then I went to Australia and I lived in Australia for 11 years. And then I bounced between Australia and Hawaii and Europe. And so my main mission after I came out of Europe was just to see the world. And
Mm-hmm.
then I fell in love with Australia, so I lived down there for so long. And then that's where I saw the effects of a long-term drought on
Mm-hmm.
a continent, and then how it harms the indigenous population. The Aboriginals are definitely suffering in Australia from lack of water. And so I understand bushfires, fires, lack of water, and how people live when they don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the trips to Hawaii is when I found the small machine that a next door neighbor had that actually made enough, I think is maybe 10 liters of water a day. And then that's when I just thought, if this little machine can do it, a big machine can do it. And then I set out on this mission to make this technology happen.
The machine that your neighbor had, was it an atmospheric water machine?
Yes, it was. It's they sell those. You can find them. They're made all over the Pacific Rim. They're
Mm-hmm.
just little plastic machines that people sit in their houses, and they make a small amount of water and it just pulls the moisture out of the air in your house. So everything is evaporating. All the water, all the moisture in the house turns into H2O molecules, and the machine pulls it out. But in actuality, that machine actually uses more power than the large machine that I make, the one that you can roll around that makes around 1,000 liters a day. So it actually, those little machines actually use more power.
Interesting. So what is different about your machine versus any other atmospheric water machine that might be on the market?
Well, there's a few things that are different. One, the machines that I build, um, when I first started out, I built machines just like everybody else, and it's based on the HVAC principle. But when you move these machines around, and working with the military, I had to transport these machines quite a bit. And I saw that there was a problem. When you have an air conditioning system in your house, and sometimes the guy goes around with a little sniffer to sniff the vents to make sure that there's no coolant leaking into your house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that coolant is very toxic. And so the coils where the water is produced on all these machines that are made in the world, it has to get to the dew point, and that's how it pulls moisture out of the air and how efficiently you do that. But there's a toxic coolant that goes through that coil. What I did was I had to figure out a way to stop that coil from leaking and leaking that into the water and potentially poisoning the people that are there to receive the water. And so what I did was I figured out a way to completely eliminate that. And that's why my machine is different than every machine in the world, because every machine that's built in the world, including some of the ones that I built, in the past have the potential to be toxic. This machine has absolutely zero potential to be toxic to any human being, because there's nothing toxic that comes in contact with the water in my machines.
Interesting.
That's why it's different.
Okay. All right. I'm curious, what water that is on the market is the water that this machine produces comparable to? I'm curious about the mineral content, if there is any.
There's not.
No, so it's like reverse osmosis water in a way? Or
No.
what can you compare it to?
I don't know. Glacier water?
Okay.
Like if you've ever gone, when you go up into the Alps or you go up into, you see these mountain streams, you've seen a Coors commercial and the river's flowing and the horses are running next to it. And you just want to jump in that water. It's comparable to that. It's nature's water, but it's extremely pure, and it's not distilled. It has the exact mineral content that you would need to have in the water. And so when you look at this, I would basically compare my water quality report to any water company in the world. I would just let's test machines. Let's test. I would happily do it.
Is the pH balance consistent?
Oh, your pH is
depending on the machine creating the water?
It's adjustable. Your pH, the pH level on the machine, I've discovered in the process of doing this, if you want a 9.5, you can get a 9.5. If you want 11, you can get 11. And so that's because there's a way that you can manipulate the filtration system and add, subtract filtration, and you can adjust your pH.
So this machine can create alkaline water?
Yes, it can. So that's a freebie to all my competitors that are listening right now.
Please share with us a bit of your perspective on climate change.
Oh, it's a dumpster fire. It's a mess. You know, people are going to tell you that, oh, we're reaching a tipping point. Oh, we have to stop doing what we're doing right now to come back from the edge of the abyss. Nah, man, you guys have already jumped off the freaking cliff and you left your parachute behind. We're in it. We're in it.
It's
here. It's here, and it's here with a vengeance. And I don't know what to do to stop it. So there's a lot of that what's going on right now. You're just going to have to get used to it. And if anyone's telling you anything different, they're lying to you. Don't believe what they're telling you in the media about it. The climate has changed. It's irreversible, because right now you can't stop a corporation from producing oil. You can't stop a nation from producing oil. You can't stop the people in Brazil from cutting down the rainforest. You can't stop the people in Indonesia from cutting down the rainforest. You can't do it. People have to eat. You can't stop the Chinese from burning coal for fuel, and you can't stop the Australians from digging all that coal out of the ground and selling it to the Chinese. You're not going to stop it. You're going to be out there with your Birkenstocks on and your sign and your bag of granola, and these guys are going to be out there, you know, with bulldozers and a police state behind them. They're going to stomp you, you know. Hey, and by the way, I'm not very politically correct, but I try my best. But
Yeah.
sometimes in the heat of battle, you can't tell people, excuse me, I have a, I would like for you to do something for me. No, you have to tell people, get up off your ass and you need to get this stuff done. And you have to say it with force. So it's not very politically correct, but right now we have to be a little bit incorrect because this situation is so bad. My
Wow.
short take on climate change.
And that's man-made climate change that you're speaking to. For anyone watching who's just not woke to this subject matter, natural climate change, is that something that you need to be concerned about? Is it a result of what man is doing? Is there a difference, or is it just warming?
No, this is completely man-made.
Okay.
This is natural climate change happens. We've gone through an ice age. We've come out of an ice age. If you look at Sweden, check this out. There's a town in Sweden. It's called Uppsala. Uppsala. Uppsala used to be a coastal town. Uppsala is now an inland town. When the Vikings were roaming the oceans, this place was on the sea. And now, because Sweden is still coming up out of the ground, because it has so much ice on top of it. So the planet's always changing due to past climatic events. But what we're doing right now by pumping so much carbon in the atmosphere, and then there's things that people don't think about. It's like when the Arctic starts to heat up, there's methane in permafrost. If you look up and research how much permafrost is melting, there's methane trapped in there, enough methane to heat the planet by 5 degrees. And it's escaping right now, and no one's even really concerned about it.
Tell us how your humanitarian work started. I was stalking your Instagram just a little bit, doing research as
It's all
well.
good.
And I saw that. Did you win an Emmy?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got an Emmy. Yeah, it's for in Austin, Texas. There was a television station. It's called KBUE,
Hmm.
and when I was working with the military, I was stuck on a military base trying to convince everybody of the merits of this technology, and so it was great because I got lots of research out of that. I've got lots of new ideas, and I got to spread the word around quite a bit, and people found out about it, and someone wanted to come and interview me. They had heard all these rumors about these machines on a military base that were making water. So a guy named Andrew Souter from KVUE showed up one day at the gate of this military base, and he called me on the phone, and he couldn't believe that he just got me on the phone that easily. And he said, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Just come on base. I'm down at the hangar." So we had the military attaché meet him at the gate, brought him onto the base. Then we had to go through the public affairs office, and he did an interview on the spot right there on the base. And then they pieced that all together, and then they did some more takes around town and things like that. They put it together, did a news short, and they won an Emmy for it, and I got one too.
Congratulations on that. Is amazing. That
Yeah, thanks.
cool. You probably never
Yeah,
would have thought that, you know, your interests would lead to something like that. It's very, wow.
yeah. I kept it in a box for a long time, and I just never took it out of the closet. And then finally, I just gave it to someone very special. So I just say, "Hey, you can have this."
Wow. That is amazing. Okay. Please tell us what it's going to take to bring one of your machines to Africa.
Oh, it's just for me to build it. Right now, I have a few big bills to do right now, and lots of classes to teach here in the United States. I've got to go back to in Texas I have to teach a few classes in Palo Alto Community College. I think I've been invited to the University of Texas, and Texas A&M is also interested in some of the things that we do because I've worked with them in the past. They were actually part of the approval process. So in order to get a machine to Africa, it's just to donate to this. There's a GoFundMe here. Then I have a Moses West Foundation that I use to either to build machines as well and to go to universities and high schools and teach and give lectures. So that's it. Just donate enough to build a machine, and as you know, the supply chain is starting to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
and the price of everything is just shot through the roof. Components. I mean, some of the things, some like metal has gone up. The price of metal has gone up 3 times. If you try to get wood for a house, there's no wood in my machine, but if you try to get wood for a house, you can see how much houses have gone up. So I'm not immune to those cost increases as well. So the cost of the machine has definitely gone up because the quality of what we build is extremely good. So the machines that I would build for Africa, you could do that through donations to the GoFundMe or to the
Mm-hmm.
Moses West Foundation. And it's just as simple as that.
And what is the ask?
I think they asked for what the NICA and everyone is doing in Canada. I think that's right around $1 million. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what it is. That's their ask. But you just think if we have 100,000 people donating, or 200,000, or 300,000, or half a million people donating, it's only a few dollars each,
Mm-hmm.
and that's enough to get this ball rolling. And when, say, if a city in Africa does do this, say if someone in Ghana does do this, and we come over and do it, what we'll do is we'll make a complete sustainable area for them.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is there water production, but everything else is stuck in his head that needs to come out to do with this technology, such as food production, completely organic, power, completely renewable. It'd be nice to have a place in Africa to be the first place that is completely net zero, which I've done before in the past.
Wow. Where in Africa have you done this before?
I did this in Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
Did you know about that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Well, that was
But for everybody watching.
yeah, that part of that Emmy in going to Puerto Rico. I think that aired before I went to Puerto Rico. And when we went to Puerto Rico, we were on an island called Vieques, and we set up the large water generator, the big 5,000 liter unit, comes in a 20-foot ISO, and we ran that system on solar power with the blessing of Tesla and Elon Musk, because he had a battery and solar array on the other side of the hospital. So we paid $7,500 in donations for a electrical cable that is still there, and we powered that system on solar, and we provided drinking water, completely net zero to 5,000 people, daily drinking water.
That's amazing. Congratulations
For,
on that. This is a
Thank
huge,
you.
it's a huge achievement.
Yeah,
For
it was a
everyone,
blessing to do it.
yes. For everyone who is still watching or who will see this after it's uploaded, we will have the link to Moses's GoFundMe in our bio and our link tree. Help Moses get clean drinking water to Africa is what it's going to be called. So please, if anything, anything helps. Send this to anybody who you know who might care. Moses, what is in the future for AWG?
Oh, the future is in teaching this technology to people who need it. It's like the way that we taught, like missionaries would go out, they would teach people how to dig wells or how to find clean water. Well, this is the new missionary is someone who brings technology to someone to help them advance the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as children in universities, in grade schools, in high schools, and technicians get their hands on how they can make this technology and how they can do this, that's what the future of this is. That everyone in the world needs to know that you're not going to run out of water.
Yeah.
There are three sources of water. And if anyone tells you you're going to run out of water, they're duping you, because there's so much water trapped into the atmosphere, you're never going to run out, but you need to use technology to remove that water from the atmosphere.
Yeah.
The same way that someone pulls it from the ground, they pump it out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I have a machine that I sit on the ground, put sunlight, turn photons into electrons into H2O molecules, and it never runs out. Where your groundwater will run out, my machine will never run out of power, and it will never run out of water.
Oh.
And that's the future.
Someone said, why not teach it in Africa? Not sure what they mean by like male.
Well, I got to get there first.
There you go.
I teach here. I think on the Instagram page you can see where I went to Fox Tech, and one of my best friend's daughters is so intrigued by this. She convinced her teachers at the school to look up what I did, and they resoundingly invited me to teach this school. And I tell you what, these little kids are so excited, and they had better questions than some PhD candidates. And they're so motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Now the school is trying to purchase a machine just so the kids can produce water and grow hydroponic food at the school.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry.
No,
Oh,
it's a STEM program.
yeah. Does this machine just come in one size? Have you ever made it in another size?
I can make this machine in any size. If you wanted me to make a building that's 10,000 square feet and make it the entire building a water generator, I know how to do that. I am the only company right now in the world that has the capability to make this thing in any size. If you gave me a football stadium, I guarantee you I can make the entire roof of that building rain. So right now I can do 550 liters a day, 800 liters a day, 1,000 liters a day, 5,000 liters a day. I have the capability to make one structure that could do, I would say, 100,000 liters a day, easily.
Wow. So you could make one that would be small enough to service a single family home?
Oh yes, the unit that you see right now, the gray unit. There's I think it's on Instagram, and Danica and Mark are standing next to that machine.
Mm-hmm.
That machine takes your whole house off the grid. It takes you off the water main.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
that's enough for a family.
You have some questions. Okay. Someone said, we have a question from Dominique. She said, there's currently many fights between the indigenous population and bottled water companies. How do you think this will affect the bottled water industry and the lives of indigenous communities in countries like Canada, where there have been boil water advisories for more than 2 decades?
That's the easy one. You call all the indigenous people, you teach them how to use this technology, they make all the pure water that they want to make, and then just tell the bottled water companies, take all you want out of the ground because we don't need it anymore. We have something better. So let the bottled water companies stay in the Stone Age with technology and bring the indigenous people up to this level of technology, and they become self-sufficient, and you blindside the bottled water companies. And then once people start to find out about this technology in the cities and how that it doesn't do anything to the ecological system of the planet by pulling water out of the air, a, a, a corporation is a behemoth. It's like a leviathan. It's a huge vessel that goes in one direction, and it's completely destructive. To get that thing to turn 1 degree is very difficult because they're so set and their archaic ways. But indigenous peoples, they can pick up, they can move, they're agile, they're warriors.
Mhm.
Give them the technology that they need and just tell the bottled water companies, do what you want, and you guys will be making purer water than they would ever give to you. Because the stuff they're bottling is not always pure.
True. Very true.
I hope I answered that question right.
Thank you. That was good. You have a few more. Will your machine be able to revolutionize agriculture, especially in dry areas?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. There's different technologies that can combine with the technology that I have. There's sorbents and there's other technologies. So when we combine all these technologies together in one unit, we increase the operational range. And right now, the equatorial zone around the planet, that's the sweet spot for producing water with this technology. But right now, we have the capability, and we've already had the meetings. We know how to make this a global technology to operate in any temperature range,
Mm-hmm.
in any climatic conditions, from 5% humidity, 2% humidity, all the way up to 99.9% humidity. So that's just and doing without investors. This is doing it on donations out of my own pocket and just off the profit from sales of the machines to the military.
Open Eyes Production. I'm going to get to your question in 1 second. Quickly, Moses, can you answer? Someone is asking you, they want to learn how to build the machine. How can they do that?
Well, I got to make some profit out of my company before I tell you the secrets how to build my machine. But you can build. It's easy for someone to build a machine I shouldn't say it's easy, because look how long I've been doing it and how many companies in the world that do it, and some are successful and some are not. The one thing that you have to be successful in this is all about energy consumption. It's no use to build a machine that makes a liter of water if it takes a power plant to make that liter of water,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not carbon neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically you have to build a machine that is so energy efficient that you get to the place where the water that you're producing is cheaper than the water that it uses less energy for you to carry 5 gallons of water a mile from a river to where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
This machine does that. This machine burns less energy than that.
Okay. I think, yeah, there's 2 people. They're curious about joining your workforce. That's what they said.
Well, when a machine is, what we did, we took a machine to Flint, Michigan, right?
Yes.
So that machine that we went to Flint, Michigan, what we did there was they wanted to do a lot of press on that in the very beginning, and I said no, we're not going to do press. And what we did was we passed ownership of the machine and to operate the machine to the people that were in the neighborhood. So we said, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this, then y'all got to be responsible for this. And so people in the neighborhood came up every day. They gave water. They ran around. They made sure that everyone knew where it was. And I could sit back under a little tarp and I watched people operate the machine and take ownership of it.
Yeah.
And so the people who want to join this workforce, the best way to do it is when a machine goes out, say y'all purchase a machine to go to Africa, and someone wants to go with that machine, you come visit me. I'll teach you how to service and operate that machine. And then the donations, I'll pack you up with that machine and you go with it. Because I can't be in 100 places at one time.
Yeah, to service all these machines. People need to be able to
Yes.
help themselves.
If y'all buy 50 machines, I'll need 100 people, and I'll send 2 people with each machine to wherever they need to go. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And then they can start teaching people.
Yeah. Each one teach one. This is a perfect opportunity for that. We all need clean water. It's all of our business.
Most definitely.
So Open Eyes Production said, can you please explain again, recording the conversation, how can families be off the main water grid?
Ooh. I've in the time frame that I've been doing this, I stopped counting. I stopped counting at 1 million gallons, and that's me. That's me by myself. That's me driving trucks, forklifts, pulling cables, getting soldiers to help me work with me, transporting machine to Flint, transporting machine to Puerto Rico, going with it and living there, and producing water myself. There's when you want to go off grid, everyone talks about something that's called net zero. Net zero is you're just completely carbon neutral. So with a combination of this machine producing, say, 300 gallons of water a day, anywhere from 2 to 300 gallons of water a day, and even producing water in the evening when you go to bed off of solar batteries that have been charged during the daytime from sunlight. So when you're not using it water at night, this machine is still producing water. So you have 5 to 10,000 gallons of water stored at your home. That's enough water for a home. And when you use it, the water level will come down to a certain place, and then when it gets there, the machine will kick on and fill it back up. You do that on solar power. So if you're using that kind of solar, the first line you cut is the power grid line. So your utility bill has just gone away. The next line you cut is the water utility line. And so when the water utility line and the power line are cut, you're net zero. And then you have enough water to grow your fruits and vegetables at home as well, indoor, hydroponically.
Mm-hmm.
You're off grid. Is that simple? This is not hard anymore. This is very easy.
Great. I hope that answered your question. Open Eyes Production. Dominique said sorbents. Want to make sure this is the right spelling for later research. You mentioned that word. Sorbent.
Yes, sorbent materials. Sorbent materials.
Sorbents.
Bents. I think so. Yes.
Great. Let's see if you have any more questions over here. Okay, since we can't stop climate change, what is the best course of action to live with it, says someone.
Oh. The problem with climate change is so big. If you pull away from all social media and just look at what's happened in the United States, how many people have died over the past 10 years due to tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, contaminated water, fires, the ash in the air from the fires, from excessive heat. Because remember when the west coast of the United States was baked in heat, those people didn't have AC. How many elderly people passed away in their homes? So climate change is here and now, and it's hurting. The best way to adapt to climate change is, one, you have to start to find a way to mitigate the damage. Everyone talks about planting trees. That is absolutely correct. You have to stop doing things. You have to stop burning fossil fuels. You have to stop deforestation. You have to stop the petrochemical companies from pumping all this toxicity into the air. You have to stop the manufacture of plastics, which is completely contaminating the ocean. And you've got to find a way to just stop pumping carbon into the atmosphere, because the planet is getting to a place right now where it's been so damaged, it's starting to pump carbon into the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. When a forest fire burns, or when the permafrost melts, that's putting it right back in, greenhouse gases. So the best way to protect yourself right now is just stay out of the zones where the damage happens. And the damage happens in zones like where all the tornadoes are hitting in the south. Mm-hmm. You can't do anything about a tornado. So you have to avoid these places. And then on coastal areas where people live, if you're living on the coast right now, check out something called sunny day flooding. Sunny day flooding. and that happens in Miami. So the streets of Miami on a day when it doesn't even rain are already flooding, and that's because the ocean level is rising. And if you look at what's happening in Antarctica right now, one of the biggest ice sheets in the world is about to crack loose. And when that thing cracks loose, it's floating on top of the water, but when it cracks loose, all the water that's back behind it is now on a roller coaster ride to the ocean. I mean, guys, we're talking about 10 feet. We're talking crazy numbers here. So we're talking loss of the whole coast. We have military bases in Virginia, in that area, that have to move because they can't even use the dry docks anymore, because the dry docks, they can't keep them dry. So the climate change is here and it's real. So the best way to avoid it is we already have climate refugees. Just Google climate refugees. We have it happening here in the United States. People moving out of different areas because the water table is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take into consideration how many people around the world are moving because it's either too hot, or it's the people that live on the Pacific Islands, they have to leave them and they're going to places like New Zealand and Papua New Guinea and Australia because their islands are disappearing along with their fresh water as the ocean rises. So the best way to do it is to move away from these places.
So what do you think about people who are living in like mountain regions? Is that better?
Yeah, I guess it could be better, but not everybody can tolerate cold weather. And mountainous regions have very little flat spots where you can make a town or a village. And then if you do get a massive snowfall, then you have massive avalanches.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Someone said I still need the going rate on the latest AWG machine.
The ones we're building right now, the rate on the machine, and it is probably going to change. We did a build out for California, and it was about $75,000, and that was the build out for it, and that's with everything added in. And then the new units that are coming out right now, with the prices the way they've gone, the price of metal going up and the prices of components going up, we're right at that range of $90,000, and that would be the midpoint. And depending on what metal does, and depending what the price of components do, that scale slides either way from that 90,000 point. If the prices go down, the machine goes down. And if I build 100 machines, that price drops considerably.
Okay.
But right now, when I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 5 machines, 10 machines at a time, I'm not getting much of a price cut when I have to order these components, because there's nothing cheap about these machines. These machines they'll outlive you. You'll pass it on to your grandkids.
Amazing. Amazing. Someone asked, would you sell this machine to a water company? Like, I guess
Yeah.
sell the patent? I guess that's what they're asking.
Would I sell it to a water company?
Yeah, that's what they're asking.
Water companies, they're kind of archaic. They're not interested in this technology. You know who my best customer is?
Who?
United States military. They know something that everybody else doesn't know, that this stuff works.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, no, you think water companies would not even...
Nah. Those guys sitting up there with their penny loafers on, man, they're just, they're drawing their checks. They're happy.
Atmosphere butter. Yeah.
As they carry their wheelbarrows of money to the bank, it's all good.
If you guys have any more questions, ask right now. We're reaching our 1 hour mark soon. in your opinion, I ask every guest this, what is the key missing element in Africa's sustainable growth from an economic perspective?
Water.
In their economic growth? Water.
You know, if you look at everything, it doesn't matter if it's toothpaste, it doesn't matter if it's a shirt, it doesn't matter if it's a pair of shoes, a car tire, an engine, paint, medical supplies, a guitar, a hammer, a nail. They've got one thing in common. You need water to do it. Not only do the workers need water to drink, but you need water in the manufacturing process.
Mm.
There's places in Africa where no one will go because the water's gone, because they can't sustain themselves. The number one thing that you need for economic growth is always water. That's why every major town or every major city, if you look everywhere in the world, every major city is built on a waterway. Their waterways are contaminated now, so many people want to leave these places. It's water. Always has been, always will be.
I never thought about it like that. A lot of other guests have mentioned lack of cooperation, safety concerns, corrupt government. I never thought about it being something so simple.
You know what? It's always this. Sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. It's the basic thing. It's the one thing. If you Google water wars, we're in them now. And if you look at on the west coast of the United States, they just had a horrendous drought. Now they've got a whole bunch of water and snow and low temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that's making people move from there faster than anything else is the uncertainty around water. So for Africa to be a place where you have harmony and economic growth, you have to have pure water.
Boom. Boom. Drop the mic. There you go, guys. There you go. Does anybody have any more questions before I let Mr. West get back to work?
You get back to work, I'm going to go back to playing my bass.
Someone said, have you done research into the mass adoption of your water generator and the effects that it could have on the weather and climate of a particular region?
It has absolutely zero effect. Every home in the southern part of the United States has got what? An air conditioner. Everybody's got them. Cars have got them. It hasn't done anything. What's coming out of the tailpipe of the car does more damage than the air conditioner does. So basically, look, if I'm turning photons into electrons and pulling some water out of the air,
Mm-hmm.
when you drink that water, after a few hours, what happens? That water goes back to nature.
Oh, there you go.
If you put water on a plant to grow the plant, you pulled it out of the air, you put it on the plant grows, it pulls carbon out of the air, and the water evaporates and goes back up, and you capture it again. It has zero effect on the climate.
There you go. Hope that answered the question. The B-Man. They want to know how to get in touch with you, Moses. They really like you. Who do we get in touch with to get in touch with Moses? They want to build the workforce. They want to help. They want to participate.
Well,
the history.
Well, to start with, your donations help by, say if there's a big pool there, and then I could travel around more and go and teach at schools, give more lectures, like you could do it that way. And if you want to get in contact with me, I think the best way to do it now is just to do more of these.
Mhm.
where I come on and just answer questions, or right now in the process of a build out of say several machines. What I'm doing, I'm going to do I'm going to do Zoom classes to the university, to the
Okay.
engineering students,
Mhm.
and some Zoom classes to one of the high schools back in Texas as well. And I've done Zooms with companies that are interested in purchasing the technology, Zooms with the military, with the machine, and showing the components and how it works and so forth. And I'd
Okay.
be willing to do that as
Okay.
well,
Here you go.
because it's hard to divide myself up amongst 300 million people.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I hear you. So if you guys need to know anybody or an organization who's interested in having this machine,
Just donate.
us too. Why not us? I don't know what you're saying. Okay. Those are all the questions that I've seen so far. Moses, do you have anything that you would like to share with the 17 people that are watching right now?
Well, well, yeah. Well, basically, just share this information, and don't fear climate change. Just try to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stay hopeful. We're all working together to get through this. So this is something, instead of being individuals and going off your own little corners, no, this is something where we all need to walk out of our front doors, talk to each other, and pull together to get us out of this situation.
There you go. Moses, thank you so much for
Thank you.
speaking with me tonight. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was very informative. I have a lot of research to do myself, and I'm going to talk to everybody that I know about it. Trust me.
Okay.
All right, guys. I'm Jana Campbell. If you're new here, please follow us and make a free profile on Afrinection. Moses, have you made your profile on Afrinection?
I'm following you.
Oh, you're following me on it? Okay. There you go.
All right,
You guys
I'll
are
get
most
with
fun.
Anika. She'll hook me up.
Okay, there you go. And the link to Moses's GoFundMe will be in our bio for you guys to check out afterwards. Send it to anybody who you know can help us reach our goal. All right, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you for having me.
Of course.